Hello, today's video is called What is a Switch? Today is August 20, 2021. In my previous YouTube channel, I had this same title in a video, but as everybody knows, my YouTube channel has been pulled down. So I am going to talk again about this in a more succinct way, perhaps. The agenda for today is switch and anatomy, an example, dual objective and rational, suspects and easiness, implications, and JT, Canadian entity. A switch is a term I started to use to address this topic without being deplatformed, and the way I define it is anyone hiding from a very young age, perhaps around 2 years old, the real gender, and is obviously building an illusion from the very beginning of their life. And as you can see, because it starts at 2, is clearly crafted by their families. It's not exactly a personal choice. It has a lot of background, and of course, if you want to look into that, that's a different conversation. And it's different than transgender because it's an open declaration. When you are a transgender, you are clearly saying openly what you're choosing to do, but at the same time, they're interassociated. Here is a visual of a doll that was promoted a couple of years ago, trying to keep on promoting this transgender movement. Anatomy is obviously the study of the structure of the different parts, and if you do any kind of search over the internet comparing the differences between males and females, you're going to see very clear differences in the structure of the head, the structure of the overall bones, etc. And here I'm going to give you a quick example, starting with a preamble. Here you're going to see the front, and the jaw is going to be very different. On the left, you can see it's very round, almost like a pear-shaped, and to your right, you're going to see the jaw is going to be very structured, almost like a rectangular shape. So also that's going to affect the size of the mouth. Males typically have wider smiles, wider mouths, and females are going to be a little bit more narrow from that perspective. Now, if you look at it from the side, you can see on the left, the lady has a forehead that is almost falling down, while the man is having a straight line on that forehead. The neck is clearly different. As you can see, the neck in the man is going to be wider, in the female is going to be thinner, and the ears are going to be obviously different in size, and the overall size of the skull is extremely different. Here's an example that is very easy to find online. If you do a search on Giselle and her sister walking on the beach, you're going to be able to find this visual, and then you can use your own time to analyze, but you're going to see the comparison between the necks. If you look on the left, the entity that is supposed to be an ex-supermodel has a very wide neck, to the point that you cannot see it disappearing from the front, but their sister is actually making sure that neck is hidden, and it's because of the size. The shoulders are more round on the left, on the entity called Giselle, and they are more soft and declining on the real female. On the left, you're going to see a torso that is more straight, and to your right, you're going to see a torso with a waist. The hands are going to be wider in the case of the left, and the feet are going to be bigger, and that's obviously because it's a male. You can also see the overall length of the arms, the overall length of the legs. So once you can compare a female on the right with a male on the left, and then you can start to see that it doesn't matter how much plastic you put on these entities, you can still see the bone structure and clearly see what is going on. Here you can see the overall body lines. So on the left, once again, is very straight. On the right, you have an as called hourglass structure. And then here, once again, the shoulders are going to be more straight on the left, a little bit more round and softer, declining almost on the right. There's something called the Adonis belt, that is that line that you can see in the circle on the right on the person that is pretending to be a woman, and is also going to be reflected only on males. The length of the arms, once again, and where the hand falls in comparison to the opposite gender. So you can see here at a glance now more clearly which is a female, which is a male. The objective of doing this type of things is to blend both genders in one. Sometimes when they forget to Photoshop, you can actually see the original parts in the entity on the left that pretends to be a female. You clearly see is a male, but kept the original parts. And on the right, the entity pretending to be a male that was recently declared the sexiest man alive. Well, it's actually a female. And you can see actually in the size and the shape of the boob that is not really a male. The other objective is to not only deceive, but also to normalize what is abnormal behavior. All these entities engage in tributes to what they believe is their, quote, God, and which is the opposite of God for all of us. And they also drink this type of drug that everybody now talks about. These are actually my original images from my video from 2019. This is also from People magazine. They are just, once again, trying to normalize very abnormal behavior from the article on the right. The rationale is very simple. It's a tribute to the entity they follow. They are following this entity that is reflected actually in the tarot cards as having both female and male parts. So that's the reason why this transgender movement is happening. That's the reason why they do this from very young age, because that's who they are honoring. The suspects are anyone who's famous, rich, powerful. Obviously, you need to analyze it one by one. It's not that easy, but you can go online and do something called transvestigation on YouTube, and you can see a lot of videos on which people are dissecting in a similar manner, but a little bit more detailed than what I did here. I'm just trying to give you a very quick idea of what these videos are about. It's extremely easy to do if you do. Again, you can do it on Google, transgender before and after surgery and hormone images. You can see on the left a person who started as a male becomes a female. If I go to a gym and I see that lady, I would say it's a lady. I wouldn't even think about it, right? And to your right, you see a person who started as a man and becomes a woman. If you go to a party and you see that lady, you're not going to think it's a man, right? So you can see these people don't have the resources and they don't have the ability to engage with very deep and expert operations, and they can still definitely fool us. So you can imagine all these other people with so much money, how much they can do. The implications are self-rejection. You can see here on the right side, quote, supermodel, that again is a male, like all the Victoria's Secret models, by the way. And they are trying to put females in a position that is impossible to achieve. So this, quote, female said that she was pregnant, and then 6 weeks after, she was on a runway with a very flat and beautiful stomach. So obviously that creates self-rejection in females, destroys families, and most importantly, the objective is to destroy kids and their innocence and the purity of life within them. But now let's talk about what is the main topic of today's video. This is the reason why I repeated this. Somebody asked me to please address this situation regarding this entity. So this is a picture you can find online. It's one of the oldest pictures that actually illustrates in a very clear manner the level of deceitfulness, I guess, that you can achieve when you don't pay attention. So here, for example, you can see on the right, you can see JT, and obviously when you compare with the female structure and the male structure of the skull, you can easily find out if it's a female or a male. So you can see it very easily there. And then here you're going to keep on the same structure of female and male, and you're going to see the same with the partner. So once again, obviously they're both switches. As you can see, you can have more images online, of course, and here I'm just showing some very random ideas. And here you can see when somebody that you obviously know is a transgender, it's standing up beside the partner of JT, and you can actually see how the length of the arm on JT's partner is longer, than on Michael. So that's how incredibly interesting things are. The lines are not aligned. So I don't know if you know also one of the important things is that line that you see on the left is showing that in females, the shoulder is aligned with your hip, because you're supposed to, either you choose or not, but you're supposed to have kids, so you're supposed to have a wider hip. Males don't need that, so the hips are inside in that line. So here you can see how it is clearly a male. My recommendation is that you do some research with a very open mind. There is a lot of information that is still available. Obviously, every day is harder and harder to find those great videos and those great channels that taught me all I know about this topic. They have all disappeared. So you can still do some research, but definitely they're trying to hide this. Things are not what they seem, and a lot of lies have been told to us for a very, very long time. So be prepared to be surprised. Thank you very much.